what it is. So,
well, I'm a co-sponsor, a prime original co-sponsor of that bill, and Rick Hudson, who's the sponsor of the bill, and I were talking in the hall just Wednesday night because I'd had some questions come in. I know Tyrone wanted to know where that was at, as well as a bump stock issue. The reciprocity bill has been held up because of all the other stuff there. You don't want to distract as much as possible, but Rick has had conversation with our leadership, and they've indicated that they may be willing to take it up even before the end of this month. And
you heard it here first,
with
folks.
Kevin McCarthy as well, giving him my support. I think it's something that's necessary. The only problem, it does give the opportunity for the Democrats to try to put an amendment on it, which would be the bump stock proposal that's out there. There are a number of my Republican colleagues that are leaning towards supporting the bump stock prohibition, and that is a concern.
Man, I thought that had gone away.
Yeah, well, that's why I've encouraged people not to really push on that issue, simply because let sleeping dogs lie. Let people get a little more time in between that atrocious event that took place in Las Vegas, where it wasn't the bump stock that did it. It wasn't the suppressors that could have been on the ends of those guns. It was a crazy guy who had hatred in his mind and was willing to do that. And that isn't a bump stock issue. That's not a semi-automatic, automatic assault rifle problem. That's a problem of humankind in a person that went mental or just whatever, committed that crime. And he could have done that without bump stocks. He could have done that without silencers if he would have had those. He still could have done it, and there are things that we need to do to keep that from happening, not take away Second Amendment liberties from our citizens.
You know, my concern with the bump stock issue is that you try and redefine to keep bump stocks out, and now you're redefining legislation or regulations that may have unintended consequences. Is that correct?
I agree. That's correct, and I think that's why we need to have more rational thought, let ourselves look at what caused the problem as opposed to something the person used. I found out since this happened, there's a gentleman who lives across the road from me here in the country who has a bump stock. I didn't know that. He has a bump stock. He'll never commit a crime. I won't go into any further of his background, but if I told you the full background, you'd say, this guy will never commit a crime with that gun. He just loves firearms. And
he must be wealthy.
Well, even if he had, here's the thing. Even if you pass some law that says bump stocks are now illegal, what criminal's going to follow that law?
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. You can pass whatever law you want. The criminals aren't going to follow it.
And it's pretty easy to make a bump stock if you have a jigsaw and some springs.
Hey, easy there. They'll ban jigsaws next.
That's right.
But I can't, even if I could afford, which I could, a bump stock, I can't afford to feed one. That's a lot of money going downrange,
That's a lot of ammo.
Yeah, for me, gun control is always A, hitting your target,
yes,
and B, conserving your ammo. So who the heck wants a fully automatic weapon anyways? Spend a little time at the range, folks.
Yeah.
That's how you get better. You don't need automatic weapons, you morons, when they get into that stuff. But all right, so Tim,
you know what? I want the right. It's my First Amendment, my Second Amendment right.
I get you. So Tim, Gary's going to put his tinfoil hat on again because we've got investigations, and I want to get number one. I'm a little worried we're not getting the full story out of Vegas, and I don't like the way it's just disappeared, and I don't like the way things changed, and now nobody's talking about it. Is there anything going on in Vegas or questions in D.C. about what happened in Vegas? Because my spider senses are tingling that something is more to the story there.
There are still investigations going on, including in the Justice Department, on that issue, and I'm hoping Sessions is doing a credible job. I have my concerns with Jeff Sessions, always have had, and he wouldn't have been my first choice for Attorney General, and his standing on things like civil asset forfeiture and his willingness to recuse himself at the drop of the hat concerns me. But there are still investigations going on, and also talking about investigations when we're looking at the issue of Russia versus Trump or Russia versus Hillary Clinton. There are investigations going on, uranium and Hillary, at this time, and they'll continue to go on in Congress with Trey Gowdy and his committee, Oversight and Government Reform Committee. So there are plenty of investigations going on. You're going to hear far more about the ones that the liberals like to hear about than you hear about the ones that I think the general public of America wants to hear about. But those investigations will continue.
Tim, I hear two different things going on. We wonder, well, when we hear Trump tweet, I wish the Justice Department would do this and that. And yet, as far as I know, they report to him. Then you look at some news reports that say the Democrats are worried that Trump will influence the Justice Department. And then you have other people saying that, well, he's not allowed to influence the Justice Department. And do you know anything about this?
No, he's absolutely allowed to try to influence the Justice Department. That's his administration.
Yeah.
He's the executive. He has that ability. I would think, and again, I'm not president. I will never be president. But I would think the better part of wisdom would be to influence it quietly, for the most part, behind the scenes, so that you don't have the opportunity for the liberals to jump on him trying to influence Jeff Sessions or any of the others in a way that they don't like. Keep it quiet behind the scenes. You got to know. You just got to know that that Barack Obama, through Eric Holder, influenced the Justice Department.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's their responsibility. They are the commander-in-chief. They are the chief executive. The chief executive of any business and any governmental entity influences what they're responsible for and tries to influence the other branches. The president ought to try to influence Congress.
It's called politics.
We have a responsibility to speak for the people, and he can try, and he may in certain cases influence us. Other cases, we have to say, no, it doesn't work that way. But that's the process. So when you hear the left-wing voices out there saying it's insidious for the president to try to influence the Justice Department, where have they read that in the Constitution?
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, Tim, I got one last question because we're running out of time. It wouldn't be my show if I didn't ask. EMP protection, right? Where is Congress and the Senate on spend some money? You have my permission. I don't care if it's $5 or $20 billion. Can we get the grid protected before North Korea or Iran, somebody tries an EMP on us, or just a plain old solar flare? Where are we sitting with that? Can we please finally get the Senate to look at what you guys have already done?
Yeah, I can't answer that conclusively about the Senate.
Yeah,
Again,
I know. It's my wish list, Tim. It's my wish list.
The Senate is our enemy. The Democrats are opposition. Thanks to people like Trent Franks from Arizona. He continues to keep that on the forefront on the Military Affairs Committee, the Armed Forces Committee.
Yeah.
And we have dollars in our budget for EMT.
Okay.
And so it hasn't been put on the back burner.
All right. Well, thanks, Tim, for calling in again. And if you need something before the end of the beginning of the next month, feel free to call in and let us know, would you?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, thanks for giving us that opportunity, and keep up the good work. And we'll talk to you next month, if not sooner.
All right. Thanks, Tim. Take care. All right. And to the rest of you, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. And until then, go to the Daily Drift.
The news you need to know.
There you go. See you next week.
God bless.